Welcome to Thinking in Turns. I've been looking up some 1v1s in Wesnoth recently, and I think this is an interesting replay to look over, especially if you focus on the initiative and when the players take fights. So here we have StoneyDrew playing Drakes versus newbieA playing the Knalgans. And if you look at the map, at this pretty close, there are two main lanes where you can go through. And generally this matchup is slightly Drake favored, I think, because they have good mobility. But in a close map like this, where they can't really move from side to side and use their movement, I think it should be Knalgans favored, because they have the Knalgans, which are super tanky with their high HP and have a lot of pierce damage. Yeah, let's get started. I'm not sure if they both know what they're playing against, like if they're blind picking or if they pick the mashups accordingly. Yeah, it starts off pretty simple. Each side recruits units so they can take one village each. Alright. I think two special are going on, a little bit of scouting. And Stoney sees what's going on. Now, newbieA didn't recruit a Griffin Rider, so he doesn't have as much intel as he could. The footpaths do give a lot of vision, but the Griffin Rider would also be able to see the sea and have just a little bit more information. But in these early stages doesn't matter as much. So he sees a couple of units on the west, a couple of units on the east. Nothing too specific yet. But he already starts recruiting Thunderers. Because he sees the dragons are coming, he doesn't see any skirmishes. The Thundergods with their 18 piercing damage, and they will do bonus damage against drakes, are super good. And 39 HP on this one, this is resilient Thunderguard. As well as all the resistances do make them very tanky. This is super good unit in this matchup. Now both sides are still kind of shuffling around. They see what the other is playing right now. And at this point, newbie starts to push a little bit into this mountain area. Now, if you're playing against dwarves, you always want to control the mountains and hills as much as possible. And right here on this map, you see there are like 3 mountainous areas here, a little bit of mountains here, and all around. So these will be the main areas to fight around for both players. And since it's a night and the drakes are low-level units, they will do less damage. So this is exactly the timer when the newbie wants to push in. You see Sony respecting it, he stays just out of range of the Knalgan units here. It's a lot of information with this glider. I see that the Thunderers are coming. Quite a lot of them. So newbie shuffling around a little bit, pushing up. Pushing his Thunderers all to the west flank. I feel like the west flank is a little bit easier to play for dwarves because you have these hills over here. Then you can move after one cycle into these hills, move further. And they are quite close to, like these hills are very close to the village. You also get more of them. So it does feel a little bit easier to play than the right side, where the villages come quite late and they're also surrounded by flatland. Sony moves out with the leader, just in case there's a fight happening. And he goes for an interesting attack. He does hit 3 times for 2 damage each. This 6 damage, and this drag glider could get trapped if the fighter, Dovish fighter, moves on this hill, at the footpad, or this Dovish fighter moves over here. He would be down of patrol locked. It would be an engagement, and it is second to watch, but the daytime is about to flip soon, so you have 2 Thunderers looking on this. I think the drag glider would die. If we look at the vision, I'm not sure if newbie knows what's behind the glider. There we go. So the good thing about this engagement, from what you see only 5 units. You also have 5 units over here. Your reinforcements are a little bit far away right now. And you can't really tell what's behind here and if there are any units waiting for you in the 4x4. Which is why a Griffin Rider would be nice, so you just get a little bit more vision. And you might take this engagement. It is a pretty good one. You're fighting around hills. But newbie decides to play it slow, and I don't mind this idea. I think it does work because you do scale better the more Thunderers you have. And the Drakes are quite limited in their moves because of this area in the middle that's not passable. So yeah, newbie goes back, the Stony moves forward because it is daytime, so he would like to start a fight during the day, but you can't really push past this line. This is very good defensive line, a lot of villages where you can sustain a lot of mountain shields. So both players are kind of shuffling around. Stony always keeps a glider in here because it's not really easy to reach. All these hexes are very bad for a lot of units. And he can just look if there are any villages that are free to occupy. Pushing in a little bit further with his skirmisher. Because he doesn't see a lot of units, maybe he can grab a village or two. Yeah, and then there's not much happening. Now Stony is going back because it is the afternoon, and after that in the daytime the advantage will swap. He doesn't want to get caught retreating when the daytime is about to flip. He is playing lawful units. This is what I think is interesting about this matchup. It is a little bit of a slow game, but you see that newbie is also starting to move up right now. It's not a good position for his units. All these dwarves don't really have good defense stats here. But since it is about to become nighttime, the Drakes will do a lot of damage, so he can take this opportunity to move up. Now, he did recruit an Ozark. I don't mind having one of them. It can create some opportunities. Even though it's probably not the best pick in this matchup. You might want to hit a... You might get to hit a Drake Burner with it. But sometimes you just need to get rid of one unit or damage one unit as much as possible, so having one Ozark is pretty good. And usually at this point, you see the first engagement, and him moving in. At this point, it would be a nice idea for the Drake player to maybe swap sides, maybe push a little bit more on this side. But there's a Guardsman over here, which is super tanky with his resistances when he gets getting attacked. And there's not really an easy way to cross from the west to the east here. You can't really shuffle units around as easily. The Drake ladders do kind of well, because they have a lot of movement speed. But just Drake ladders won't really give you much of an advantage here. So you see the first shot fired during nighttime. That's a pretty decent push. The only problem right here is that your Thunderers are not on good ground. So this one has 40% chance, dodge chance. This one is 30-30. Eat your foot, but could have a better hex to stand on. You see Stony at least taking the engagement because of the ground disadvantage here, picking up the Thunderer. Oh, this is some good damage without retaliation. I'm not really sure if I would have taken this fight, because the Dwarven Guard is super tanky and he has 70% dodge chance in this mountain. But at the same time, I don't really see anything better to do for both burners. I'm trying to get some hit on the Thunderer and moving up on the right side as well, right flank, just in case there are any opportunities. Again, moving out with the Fire in case he wants to commit to a fight. Yeah. Now it's newbie's turn to move forward, and you see the Thunderers do a lot of damage to the hit. These measures is all. Now the retaliations come in, and the Drake Burners are losing a lot of HP to the fighters. Yeah, one clasher going down. And this to expect the Drake player should be losing these engagements simply because it is nighttime. They do 25% less damage. And all the Thunderers do a very good job. So Sony ends up retreating here, forming a somewhat defensive zone of control line and healing up his units on villages. Now again, this is an interesting moment to think about for newbie. Does he want to push further? Because he did get quite a lot of HP damage already. He does have the area now. He could try to start pushing up into these mountains just to get the defense bonus on it. But nighttime is about to run out and is about to swap to daytime. So it might be a bad engagement to just fight during the day when the Drakes are at the strongest point. I do see both plays as reasonable, to either play it safe or to start pushing up. I think it would be an interesting idea to start fighting, because you do have low Drake burdens, you do have a low Clasher, and all of your units are neutral, so they don't really suffer too much from the day cycle change. But as I said earlier, if you want to play it slow, I think it is more favorable for you. The more units you get on board, the more difficult it will be for the Drake player to get anything done or take any opportunity with their mobility. Then he decides to retreat. This dawn is about to become the first watch, daytime. Stoney is pushing up again, because it is daytime, he is again looking for opportunities, looking for any stragglers that are escaping right now. There's not much happening, both sides are kind of skipping turns right now. Because Sony knows he can't really push this position, and at the same time, newbie also doesn't want to engage when it's daytime. Right here, I'm a little bit confused that both of them decide to stay on the west flank, because there's not really much progress to be made by the Drake player. I would expect Stoney to maybe like send a Drake burner or two in this direction, maybe try to pressure the east flank a little bit, because if you look at this movement, these units, the Thundering with 4 movement points needs 5 turns to get to the side. This quick one needs 4 turns, but it's still quite a long while for Dwarven units to come around. Like, especially these ones right over here need 5 turns, 6 turns to get over here quickly. And they don't really have a lot of line of sight. They don't really see a lot of your movements, because they don't have a Griffin Rider. Right now, all of these units are kind of invisible. They could be here, or they could be start moving to the east flank. This is an interesting idea. So he decides to just set up a defensive line. Yeah, now you see it is afternoon, so newbie starts pushing up again. Because this about to change the day cycle. And now the Drakes will become weaker as units. Obviously, Sony knows this as well, so he tries to move back and try to wait it out. Now we have an interesting situation. Since it is the first watch, he will need about 2 turns to be able to take a good engagement as the Drake player. But the Dwarf has pushed up quite far, and he's starting to take your villages. So here you kind of have to decide how much are you willing to give up in order to wait for your watch, for your day cycle. At the same time, you do have the opportunity to grab 1 or 2 villages with your Drake ladder. Maybe grab this village with your skirmisher. Just to at least get something in return, because these units will never be able to come back in time to defend this. So all the defensive units will be freshly recruited. So right here, trying to fight the dwarves on these mountains is super difficult, and on these ones as well. But the Thunderers that are out in the open might be free to pick up. You can't really move back too far, because there's an Osaka that could take out a Drake Burner. There are some Thunderers that will be in range to hit you. Especially the quick ones are super annoying. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hexes, so they are in range of both of these villages. So you can't really let your units sit on the villages as well. Do you want to give them up? Do you want to try to contest it? you see Stoney is trying to contest it. He is the one taking the first fight. Initiative and being the first to hit is very important in Wesnoth, because you get to decide which attacks you are using. For example, you don't want to be hitting Thunderers with a range attack, but with a melee attack you do have quite an advantage. You also want your Drake Burners to use range attacks on the fighters, for example. But this fight is taking such a terrible time with the first watch. The units will be doing way less damage. You didn't have the leader joining in, because it is the level 2 unit, that's way more. There's a way stronger damage output, but this dwarf is dodging everything with his 70% dodge chance. I mean, even if he gets hit a couple more times, he has so much HP to burn through, and they only do 4 damage per shot. So you shouldn't really expect to be killing this dwarven fighter. Then goes for the Thunderers. They have bad dodge chance here, but at nighttime you don't do a lot of damage. They have very good resistances. Okay, and right here we get to an interesting point where the Dwarven player has very good chances of just winning this. He has so many Thunderers around. I think it's 6 Thunderers around all these dragons. He has a couple of mountains and hills he can occupy. But newbie finds a very interesting solution to this puzzle here. I'll leave it up for a second if you can see it. But he finds a way to snipe the enemy leader. Just a very interesting one. He hits a shot on the Clasher, which is the important part of this one. And if this Clasher is down, then this frees up the zone of control for this mountain, which he realizes, and now he can move up with his Ulsarker and go into the trade. Now, I'm not sure if the Ulsarker, like what the chances here are to win this one, but even if the Ulsarker doesn't win this, the stacks will be freed up by his death for another unit to come in and possibly finish off the leader. And like this, newbieA wins this 1v1 with an insane Ulsarker play. So yeah, GG well played to this one. And as that, I think it was a very interesting replay in terms of how people engage fights and play around day and night time. So I hope you enjoyed this one. If you want to see more in the future or have any comments, feel free to write it down below. Yeah, I'm not a professional in this game right now, but I'm trying to get better. Maybe I'll play someone once at some point as well. And I'll see you in the next video.